The all-new Acura RDX was entirely reimagined from the ground up and inside out. With the turbocharged 272 horsepower VTEC engine, the return of available super handling all-wheel drive, a driver-focused cabin featuring a class-leading panoramic roof, and innovative technology highlighted by a new True Touchpad interface, the RDX is more luxurious and even more thrilling to drive. Visit your local Acura dealer to test drive the all-new Acura RDX today.
The Fantasy Focus Football Podcast is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Most job boards overwhelm you with tons of the wrong resumes. Not smart, but ZipRecruiter finds the right people for you and actively invites them to apply. So you get qualified candidates fast. Now that's smart. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/06010. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Fantasy, you're in the 06010. Focus. Fantasy focus.
Welcome into the Fantasy Focus Football Podcast. My name is Field Yates, graduate of Wesleyan University, like a couple of other people of note. His name is Matthew Berry, and she is Stefania Bell. Good morning to you both.
Ahoy, matey!
Ahoy, matey. Okay.
Ahoy, mateys!
It's a nautical theme today.
It is National Talk Like a Pirate Day, so ahoy, mateys!
Is it really?
Is it really?
Yes, my lovely scallywags.
Where did you find that out?
It's on Twitter. It's trending.
It was National Cheeseburger Day yesterday. I feel like that's a much better celebration to occasion than National
I
Talk
missed
Like a
it.
Pirate today.
Arr.
Arrgh.
We
got a lot to cover today.
I know, but we
let's-
can't go further. I'm laughing because we just saw Bill Belichick on the TV screen in our room, and this morning at the meeting, Matthew says he had no idea that Bill Belichick went to Wesleyan.
Matthew, like innocuously, so let's just peel the curtain back for a second, which is often what Matthew does to us on this show. So
Sure.
a little taste of your own medicine, if you
Okay.
will.
Thank you.
Sure.
We're sitting here during our production meeting, which is, if you've listened to this podcast, you know, typically starts off strong and then eventually it kind of fades and we all sort of are distanced and we're
Yep.
not paying attention and we're off track. But this was towards the conclusion of the production meeting, and Matthew, who had his home screen open to ESPN.com because he's trying to get the latest information about all things sports, and there is a feature piece right now about an injury that Bill Belichick sustained during his college football playing career that basically changed the course of his football future. And Matthew said, I had no idea Bill Belichick went to Wesleyan.
Yeah.
Matthew went on to say that he only knew of Wesleyan or thought of me when he thought of Wesleyan.
Because we make a lot of Wesleyan jokes
Sure.
about because Field went there, obviously.
We do.
And their lacrosse coach, guy named John Raba, just
Right.
won the national championship.
National champs, baby.
They won the national championship in lacrosse. They're D3, right? D3 or D2?
Sorry.
I don't even know.
We are Division III, but in
Right.
lacrosse, like many other sports, Division III actually is we're the second
100%.
tier of talent.
That's not. I don't mean that it's an insult. I was just
Sure,
trying. They are
sure,
the no,
sure.
absolutely not. So they're the D3 lacrosse champs. I mentioned that because John Raba's son plays lacrosse with my son,
Yeah.
or did in high school. A
Yeah.
very good, very talented player. And so I know John from watching kids lacrosse games with him. So shout out to Wesleyan lacrosse. But that's when I think of Wesleyan. That's just what I think
but
of.
the most important point of this is the fact that Matthew never pays attention to anything we say, because literally on Monday, Field and I were talking about Bill Belichick going to Wesleyan, and we've mentioned it maybe 100 times, but it was a revelation for Matthew today.
Absolutely.
Like
have
most
100% mentioned the fact that Bill Belichick went to Wesleyan approximately 1,000 times.
Extra, read all about it.
News or noise?
Loud noises!
You guys are a bunch of scurvy scallywags.
Okay, I'm actually
Bunch
impressed.
of dirty sea dogs
The
is
thing
what you are.
Some of your bits that you try, Matthew, just sort of they try and fail, or they flop, or they annoy me. But this one, actually, I'm kind of interested to see how much pirate jargon you can mix.
I wish
into
you
the
were
podcast
dressed
today.
appropriately, though. If you were dressed like a pirate,
Where's
I'd
your
be
hook?
impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Where's your parrot?
Thirsty Kyle, go get me a parrot and a hook for the second half of the
Do you
show.
have a parrot tattoo? You are such a parrot head. Do you have a parrot tattoo
not.
from like a concert
But
that
you
got
must
too
have a
much?
parrot
What does that mean,
head.
parrot head? Does that mean he has he looks like like his face looks like a parrot? Like he's got a parrot-shaped head?
You know the answer.
No.
You know what it actually
You know
is, right?
what it
Yeah,
means.
no.
I can't
Music
tell because
guy.
Matthew didn't know that Bill Belichick went to Wesleyan, so all of a sudden my world is just like it's off kilter.
I just didn't remember it. I just didn't remember that.
No, like you
I
don't.
don't know. Like, of all the things to know about Bill Belichick, and there are many, he's truly an impressive man. where he went to college is not top of the list in terms of what I think of when I think of Coach Belichick.
When's his birthday?
I assume it's a national holiday. Is it today? It should be today. I don't know.
Actually, the only reason why people know his birthday so well is because on his birthday, April 16th, the Patriots also drafted Tom Brady back in 2000.
Right.
So sort of a double dip there for the Patriots. Bill Belichick celebrated his birthday. Tom Brady also
I'm not
was
even sure I
drafted
could
on that
spell
day.
his last name correctly.
Can you try it without looking at that screen?
Belichick. Did I get it right? All right, there you go. By the way, I don't think I can spell Wesleyan correctly. I'll tell you that much.
Last thing on birthdays.
How about Cuse?
Last thing on birthday. Happy 29th birthday to Caddy Yates, my younger lovely sister.
Yes, now
who
there's a
is,
reason we should be celebrating.
The wisest, most beautiful, talented Yates child. That much is for sure. I'm sure she will be not listening to this podcast, but maybe someone will alert her to the birthday wishes, and she'll feel better about it and be excited about being mentioned on the podcast. That's good news.
A round of grog for Caddy Yates.
A round of grog for Caddy Yates it is. That is definitely news. Let's begin with other news or noise topics. As of about, 20 minutes ago, we had an update on Jay Ajayi from head coach Doug Peterson of the Eagles, Stefania. It sounds like we could not see Jay Ajayi this weekend.
I know. There's been a lot of hints. First, their offensive coordinator, Mike Groh, saying that there was a good chance he'd miss the game. Now it sounds like he's not going to practice today. So signs certainly looking like he will not play this weekend.
One more thing along those signs line is that they signed Josh Adams from the practice squad. Josh Adams was like an unbelievable running back at Notre Dame, was briefly in that Heisman conversation, goes undrafted, had a good training camp. So a lot of the signs pointing towards Jay Ajayi potentially not being available on Sunday. Matthew, news or noise based off these comments so far?
I think it is news. If I were in a 10-team league, I might try to plunder Corey Clement off the waiver wire. He's only rostered in about 30% of ESPN leagues. He's out there in about 70% of leagues. So
that would be a mighty fine booty if you could get him.
Right. It might bring you many doubloons. I suspect Corey Clement is not expensive in daily fantasy, so he's somebody that might be worth spending some doubloons on in a game that I think they'll be able to run the ball effectively against the Indianapolis Colts. I know their line played well last week against Washington, but it's a different offensive line. It's a different system. Obviously, with Carson Wentz under center, and the fact that their wide receiver core, I think their offense will be productive with Carson Wentz under center, but I also think, Field, that because their receiving core is so banged up, they're going to lean on their run game here. And with no Jay Ajayi, I think you might see some Adams. We don't expect Sproles in this game either, so you'll see some Wendell Smallwood. But Corey Clement is somebody who should shoulder the load in this particular matchup.
You referenced it just a minute ago, the banged up wide receivers in Philadelphia as well. As a matter of fact, this morning, what's old is new again. As Jordan Matthews was re-signed, Mike Wallace was placed on injured reserve because of an ankle injury. Is Jordan Matthews being brought back to the Eagles? News or noise?
Dead men tell no tales, Field Yates.
I don't know what that means. Can you speak news or noise to me?
What it means is that we thought Jordan Matthews was dead from a fantasy perspective. And they tell no tales. But one thing that if a dead man were to tell a tale about, I think this is sort of news-ish. Look, I'm not making any roster moves in a 10-team league. I'm not picking up Jordan Matthews, but somebody that was productive. I would assume he's healthy if they're signing him now, Stefania.
You would assume.
Yes. So
he negotiated an injury settlement with the Patriots when he got released that did not go into the regular season. The way that injury settlements work is you agree to pay a player a portion of his split salary based off the projected number of weeks that he will miss. Jordan Matthews did not include any money into the regular season because the injury would not have projected to cost him a regular season game if he had stayed with the Patriots. So he should be
Very well
healthy.
explained.
yeah. Field is a smart laddie.
Us Wesleyan grads like Bill Belichick and Lin-Manuel Miranda and and a lot of other, Michael Bay and other smart people.
I've heard of all of them. Anyway,
Sure.
so I just think this is sort of interesting because Alshon Jeffrey not expected back in this game, to your point. Mike Wallace, Mac Hollins, they're not going to play. They're getting thin at the receiver position. You'll see a lot of Zach Ertz as well. But Matthews, who does have a connection to this offense under Doug Peterson, who does have a relationship with Carson Wentz, whose best years were as a Philadelphia Eagle, it's sort of interesting to see. So it's sort of newsy. I'm not making a move on it, but it's something I'm keeping an eye on. Will be interesting, however, because Matthews primarily played the slot when he was in Philadelphia. Obviously, Aguilar plays there, but they've used Aguilar all over the field this year.
Just for some actionable interest, I picked him up in a 16-team, our War Room League,
Yep.
to have him at the very end of my bench. That's kind of where I view Jordan Matthews' value for right now. Now, that could change quickly. Stefania, Jarvis Landry was listed as limited on Tuesday's practice report, and it's a short week for the Browns. They play on Thursday night. They're going to win, by the way. Is this news or noise?
Excuse me. I think it's noise because I think Jarvis Landry's going to play. I think they're just resting him in advance. When you see these short weeks, you're going to see this happen a lot where guys are limited or held out of practice knowing that they're coming in off a short week. And with the volume of work that he's been getting every week, they want him as healthy as can be. I would also point out that this is going to vary week to week depending on the player. You know, sometimes we say, oh, it matters if a guy's limited 2 days before the game, and other times we're kind of blowing it off. It's really case by case. And in this case, I don't think there is a serious threat to his status.
Good to know there on Jarvis Landry, still ranked well inside the top 20 for all of us. Antonio Callaway is the next Browns wide receiver you probably want to keep an eye on just in terms of the total package. We saw him catch that wonderful touchdown in week 2.
Don't be a landlubber. Start Jarvis Landry.
We don't often talk about kickers, but when the second most accurate kicker in NFL history finds a new team, we do. News or noise that Dan Bailey is now a Minnesota Viking?
I think it's news.
It's news.
From 2011 to 2016, only Gostkowski has more fantasy points among kickers than Dan Bailey. And so going to a team that we expect to score a lot of points, that's going to be playing its games indoors, at least obviously at home in Minnesota, I think this is news.
And you might be looking to replace Greg Zuerlein, who is now out Legatron for multiple weeks, according to Sean McVay. He injured his groin in warm-ups last week. That's why they didn't have him for the game, and now we know he's going to be away for several weeks.
You know, we often go through our kicker rankings, and people say, like, you know, let me just peel the curtain back on how I rank my kickers. If you play in a good offense, I'm going to rank you high. That's basically how it comes down, what it comes down to. So the Minnesota Vikings offense, very, very talented. That much we know. Dan Bailey now has a chance to be a big part of it. If you're not out grilling, someone is out grilling you. That's why you need Ballpark Buns in your lineup. It's like having a number 1 draft pick at every backyard barbecue. After all, Ballpark hot dog and hamburger buns rank as America's favorite buns, delivering fresh taste and outstanding flavor with every bite. Head over to ballparkbuns.com to see the whole roster, from Ballpark's golden hamburger and hot dog buns baked with a touch of honey, to the oversized Tailgaters gourmet hamburger and brat buns that really let you pile on the flavor. Need a home run recipe to spark your grilling genius? BallparkBuns.com has got you covered there too, with recipes for zesty blue cheeseburgers, hearty chili cheese dogs, guacamole turkey burgers, and so much more. We've also got a blog full of tips and tricks to level up your grilling game and tailgating talent. Get all this goodness and more, including the Ballpark Buns product finder at ballparkbuns.com. That's ballparkbuns.com, home of America's favorite buns. And our weekly rankings are brought to you by Ballpark Buns, which brings us right into our quarterback conversation. Ben Roethlisberger on the road. Sounds a little bit imposing. And yet here I am with him as number 4 in my quarterback rankings for week 3. They play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm just going to position why I feel as though a 4th ranking is justified for him. Since the beginning of last season, the Buccaneers have allowed 300 passing yards or multiple passing touchdowns 10 times. Moreover, we have seen how they have had to win games through 2 weeks so far. They win a game against the Saints in which they allow 40 points. They win a game this past weekend against the Eagles in which Nick Foles and that Eagles passing offense got things going in the second half. I think it's a very favorable matchup, and the Steelers passing offense has been unbelievable so far this season, with Antonio Brown not even being dominant. Stefania, you have a different sort of side of this story.
Yeah, when I was doing these rankings, I was really thinking about Road Ben.
Sure.
And
hashtag Road Ben.
Hashtag Road Ben. And I don't think this is going to be a cakewalk for them by any means. Obviously, we've seen what Tampa Bay can do, but I have to acknowledge that when I started looking this morning at the injuries in the Tampa Bay secondary, I started remembering how thin they are essentially right now. I might have to move him up a little bit. I still don't totally trust him, and I think they're going to get a lot on the ground from James Conner, but maybe I don't think I'd go up to number 4, but I probably would take him out of essentially the quarterback cellar, deep number 2, where I have him right now.
What's the difference, Matthew? What do you got here?
Yeah, at number 4, I'm sort of like, shiver me timbers. Wow, a top 4 ranking for Big Ben on the road. I get how banged up Tampa Bay is. I understand that, but I'm slightly nervous here. over the last 5 times that Big Ben has been on the road, his average rank, QB 13. So you think about Tampa Bay and how banged up that secondary. They've allowed the 6th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks this season, right? You think about how favorable that looks. Well, Ben has played 2 different road games against bottom 6 quarterback defenses last year. His average weekly finish in those 2 games, QB 12. 13 touchdown passes against just 9 interceptions on the road since the beginning of last season. I think a lot of people thought, going into Cleveland, he should have a huge game there. I have him ranked as my QB 13 this week. You know, the Antonio Brown stuff, there seems a little bit of some, no pun intended, bad juju there. Hey, look, Ben will be fine, but I don't think he, especially when you look at some of the quarterback matchups, like I prefer Ryan Fitzpatrick in this very matchup. I have him ranked higher than Ben. And you think about Mahomes and some of the other guys that have better matchups. I think he's just a high-end QB2 for me this week. On the road, you expect Tampa Bay, a red-hot Buccaneers defense, to be a little bit up in this game in my expectation.
They're not a red-hot defense.
No, the team.
Right, you said the red-hot Buccaneers defense.
I'm sorry. What I mean is a red-hot Buccaneers defense, a red-hot Buccaneers team.
Okay.
I think the defense gets a little bit inspired. I also think that to Stefania's point, I do think you see a heavy emphasis on the run game on the road on Monday Night Football. Wanted to keep that red-hot Ryan Fitzpatrick on the sidelines here. Again, I think Ben will be fine, but I don't have him inside my top 10.
All right, Phillip Rivers plays in the Battle of L.A. They go on the road, and I say that sort of facetiously as they play the Rams, not far from where they practice themselves.
Right.
Matthew, you've got him at 20. I've got him at 17. Stefania, you have him at 11. You have more confidence.
Yeah, I do. I think Phillip Rivers is red hot. I think he's got look, typically when they're playing, he's down a bunch of wide receivers. People are hurt. He really is not down. We saw Melvin Gordon limp off the field a little bit last week. I count Melvin Gordon among the pass catchers. Why are you looking at me like you're about to laugh?
Because I'm just thinking of pirate phrases.
Oh, okay.
Shiver me timbers.
Yeah, you already used that one. But I'm
allowed to reuse them again.
I think the fact that he's hot and confident right now, that the passing game is on fire and he's got multiple weapons, this has not been the case for him the last few years.
Phillip Rivers is a talented laddie. No doubt about that, Stefania. But I believe the Rams have more talented laddies. That's my argument here.
I'm not sure what a laddie is, but I think I agree with what you're saying.
I think
a laddie is a
here's
person.
The thing. I think Phillip Rivers could get sacked a few times in this game, as Phillip Rivers is wont to do. But I also think he will come back and throw a number of touchdowns on the Rams. So,
to me, this is about the Rams defense here. They're one of 4 defenses with more interceptions than touchdown passes so far since the beginning of last season.
Not over big Mike Williams.
Rivers is not the most mobile guy here. We know Wade Phillips likes to bring pressure here. That defensive line is so good. The secondary is so strong. I'm nervous about Phillip Rivers in this particular matchup, especially he's prone to throw interceptions, and you get -2 for interceptions. So when I look at my projections and when I think about the kind of scoring in ESPN standard leagues, which is what I base my rankings off of, my belief is there's going to be multiple turnovers here for Phillip Rivers in a game against a defense that I think is among the best in the NFL.
He also might drive a Lexus?
He also might drive a Lexus. Listen, save up your doubloons because the all-new Lexus ES F Sport is here. Lexus has taken everything they've ever mastered and put it into the ES. Daring design, imaginative technology, dynamic performance. It's one of the 3. Whatever it is, it's dynamic, that's for sure, because crafting every detail to surpass expectations means nothing if it doesn't lead to the experience of something greater. Years of research and exhaustive testing. One result is a robust 302 horsepower, 3.5-liter direct injection V6 engine. Further amplifying its breathtaking performance, an all-new 8-speed automatic transmission delivers intuitive responsiveness and seamless acceleration. It also has lane tracing assist, monitors visible lane markings in preceding vehicles to help keep you centered in the lane, you scurvy scallywags. Pre-collision system with pedestrian and bicyclist detection. Should it detect a potential frontal collision, it can help automatically brake the vehicle to stop. Intelligent high beam. Offer added illumination to help you keep focused on the road. Every curve, every innovation, every feeling, a product of mastery. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. An Elite Picks Field is brought to you by Lexus.
Good job on that, Matthew. I was actually pretty impressed. I'm not going to lie. Let's go to our running back rankings where the Denver Broncos come into focus, specifically Phillip Lindsay and Royce Freeman. I had a difficult one with this one. I do think this Ravens defense is pretty good. They were not great last week against the Bengals on a Thursday night. I've got Phillip Lindsay, as do both of you, ahead of Royce Freeman. The thing is, I've got it really, really close. The person who's most confident in Phillip Lindsay is Stefania, who's got him at 18. I've got him at 30. The person who's most confident in Royce Freeman, also Stefania. So you guys do believe, or maybe you believe Stefania, this is a more favorable matchup that I'm giving it credit for?
I do. I think that they can move on Baltimore, but I'm really excited about Phillip Lindsay because I was actually all in on Royce Freeman. I had him in, I think, 2 or 3 leagues this year. And so I've watched the Denver backfield pretty closely. And we talked about this earlier this week that it kind of looked like they were going with the hot hand. And Phillip Lindsay is the one with the spark. He's more explosive. He's more dynamic. And we have seen this play out. And they basically said in Denver that they were going with the hot hand. If they feel like he's hot, they're going to continue to ride it that way. Phillip Lindsay himself said, "I'm here to be the spark." You know, he's just thrilled that he has this job, right? So he wasn't expecting to see this kind of action. And he said he's there to get his teammates going. So I think that until proven otherwise, he's going to be the one that they're going to tend to go to more frequently.
Yeah, on the season, he's played more snaps, has 11 more touches. He's got double the amount of yards. He's scored once. Royce Freeman has scored as well. I'm with you, Stefania, on this one. I have Phillip Lindsay ranked ahead of Royce Freeman. I liked Royce Freeman quite a bit. And I don't know that the book is closed.
I don't think it is. I think it's a right now situation.
Absolutely. You sort of got to batten down the hatches on this one and try to weather the storm if you have Royce Freeman and don't have Phillip Lindsay. But for this game, I think Freeman is a flex play field. I think Lindsay is a legitimate RB2. It's only 2 games, but the Ravens ranked 4th in first half yards per carry allowed this season and 22nd in second half yards per carry. So they've sort of they've battened down the hatches in the second half, at least through the first 2 games here, right? Lindsay has more second half touches than Freeman in both games this season, to Stefania's point about riding the hot hand. So far, Phillip Lindsay, which has been one of the best stories in the NFL.
Sure, yeah. And he had a good conversation with Adam Schefter on the Adam Schefter podcast, available on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. Keith has a question via Twitter about a Packers running back who's due to return this week.
Yes, at Self07 wants to know if you think that Aaron Jones is ready this week to take the job in Green Bay.
All right, Aaron Jones, of course, returns from a 2-game suspension that was handed down this offseason. Matthew, I think that, as you know, and we talked about this before the show, is you feel like this might be more of a philosophical debate than it is a talent or skill set debate for Aaron Jones.
I think this is, I think this is more of a philosophical debate. So I didn't rank him this week because I just have no idea what his workload will be. He could get 0 touches in this game. He could also have 10 touches and scamper for a touchdown. He's got that big playability. The Redskins defense, look, it was a bad loss at home to Indianapolis, and they dominated Arizona in week 1, and I think we all agree Arizona is one of the worst teams in the NFL. So I don't know that we really have a great sense of what the Redskins defense is. But my suspicion is that they're a pretty good run defense. They were a pretty good run defense last year. They have a pretty good defensive line here. The Packers have not run the ball particularly well. I think this is a big Aaron Rodgers passing game, and I think they prefer Jamal Williams in pass protection. So in terms of ranking, when I'm ranking them, in terms of my process, it's like my comfort level of starting them. And I have no comfort at all in starting Aaron Jones this week because I have no concept of what his workload will be like in his first game back from suspension as currently the number 3 running back on the depth chart for a team that has not effectively run the ball through 2 games this season. So that's why I didn't rank him. Having said that, I've said this throughout the preseason. I've said this last week. I'll say it one more time. Aaron Jones is, in my opinion, by far the most talented running back skill set wise on this team. It is a matter of when, not if, he takes this job over. And when that happens, I believe he will be a very productive fantasy football running back.
Here's where I'm at this week with Aaron Jones is rather than being concerned about starting him is just make sure that if he's available in your league, go out and grab him. I think 100%. He was still available at close to 45% of leagues, maybe even more than that at this time. Make sure that you grab Aaron Jones because the role could be there.
I will say this. When I was in Green Bay, all the talk was about him. and he hurt his hamstring right around the time that he was practicing when I got there. Hurt his hamstring, then missed some chunk of time. Made his debut in one preseason game, and everyone was talking about how explosive he looked. And you talked about the pass protection. He really focused on that in the offseason, put on more weight, got bigger, thought that was something that could help him with that. If Jamal Williams was running away with it because he was running so well, I would be a little more hesitant about Aaron Jones. But I actually think that Jamal Williams has created the open door for Aaron Jones.
Fire in the hole! Aaron Jones is back.
Aaron Jones is back. Let me just say this. There may not be a player who has been asked about more this week than David Johnson. David Johnson has gotten off to a very non-David Johnson-like start, and for reasons that I don't know are really about or specific to David Johnson. We discussed this on Monday's podcast, but the point is that this offense has a whole different tenor and look to it. David Johnson's not being utilized in the passing game nearly as much as people expected him to.
As he should be. If you look at his 2016 season, when he put up those great stats, it was largely due to the fact that he contributed so much in the passing game. And, there was a tweet earlier this week from Josh Wenfuss, who covers the Cardinals for us. The Cardinals coach Steve Wills said the offensive playbook will be scaled back to help players not have to think when they're on the field. And my response was, let's not overthink it. Let's get it to David Johnson. I mean, how much more complicated does it have to be?
It really shouldn't be that much more complicated for David Johnson and the Arizona Cardinals offense. But I have him at 9 in my rankings this week. And to me, this is more of benefit of the doubt, almost like loyalty to a really good player than it is anything else. But Matthew, you and I are fairly wide ranging here, as you've got him at 16 in your running back ranks. That is stunning. And I'm not saying that I disagree with it. It's just stunning to think that the potential number one running back in fantasy football, when used correctly, could drop to 16. And not a great matchup. Clearly the Bears are a good defense, but this is not like you're playing the Jaguars and you're saying stay away from, starting a wide receiver. This is David freaking Johnson.
Yeah, he's made people that have drafted him want to walk the plank this year with his production, and I don't think it's his fault. Part of it is the offense. To Stefania's point, what fueled his 2016 was in essence two things: his usage in the passing game and his touchdowns. They're not throwing it to him at all, and they're not scoring touchdowns. And I don't know either of those things change significantly against a Bears defense. I have him ranked at 16. I might be too high on him.
Yep.
My 16 rank is entirely based on his talent and what we remember from 2 years ago, because there's nothing this year based on what we've seen out of the Bears defense and what we've seen out of David Johnson to suggest he should be anywhere near your starting lineup. So it's entirely based on just hope that they can figure it out, that they realize there's something wrong, that Steve Wilks and Mike McCoy can figure out a different way to get this team going, because they're averaging 47 snaps per game. And from 2008 to 2017, the offense with the fewest snaps per game was Tennessee in 2010 with 56.7 plays per game. So they are at a historic low in terms of just snaps per game. Their offense is that inefficient. They're averaging just 16 yards per drive. Only the Bills are worse. So the fact he's not even on the field that much. Forget his usage. You can't score if you're not on the field. Hashtag analysis.
This is not a name game. This is just a sort of a suggestion of players that you might consider starting over David Johnson. You might have gotten way behind him in the draft, or perhaps off the waiver wire. I mean, Tevin Coleman against New Orleans, Giovanni Bernard, who of course is a big time play this week because of Jeremy Hill's injury. Joe Mixon's injury.
Right.
Kenyon Drake, Chris Thompson, who had 13 catches last week, Lamar Miller against the Giants. All those players, if you told me you were starting them over David Johnson, I would advise you to start David Johnson, but I wouldn't think you're crazy at all.
100% it would not, and in some of those cases, I have some of those players ranked higher than David Johnson. So if you're following my ranks, I'm saying, David Johnson can be on your bench here. 2018, David Johnson, as good a pass catcher as he is, ranks 22nd among running backs in routes run. Also, you think about Larry Fitzgerald's. So far they have not announced a change to quarterback, so it's going to be Sam Bradford, who struggled through two games.
We'll get there in a bit with Larry Fitzgerald.
Right, and but my point is that I don't know that you have confidence that this team is going to be in scoring position that often against the Bears, and so that's among the reasons why, again, I have David Johnson at 16, and like I said, I might be too high on him.
Let's go back to Keith with a Twitter question pertaining to the 49ers running backs.
Yeah, like you guys mentioned, trust is a big thing with these guys, and that's a simple question that @Zach_Fave has here. It says, do you trust Matt Breida?
Interesting question. So let's just get to where we rank Matt Breida this week. Matthew has him at 15, Stefania at 19. I've got him at 25. The reason why I'm not higher on Matt Breida is because Alfred Morris He led the team in carries both of the first 2 games of this season. Alfred Morris is still there. I mean, how many running backs do you have that are not even the starter that you feel confident is a top 20 play? Or do you guys suggest, because of your rankings, that you think that the roles flip a bit this week, that Matt Breida actually handles more carries than Alfred Morris? I sort of feel like Alfred Morris is so steady and so familiar with the offense that his role is not going to go away even if the explosive plays aren't there.
I think you'll see the number shift. I think Kyle Shanahan will adjust it. Matt Breida has clearly been the more explosive player on the ground. And last week he had this one big 60-plus yard touchdown run, but he still is averaging, I believe, over 5 yards a carry. He's the exciting guy to watch. Alfred Morris is the grinder. And I think there was a reference, Nick Wagner talked about it, who covers the 49ers for us, for the NFL Nation reporter, that Shanahan said that he likes to use Morris to grind it out in what they call the 4-minute offense, where they're trying to work the clock. So if they get in a situation where they need difficult yards, but they're trying to go slowly, they will tend to use him. So he will potentially touch the ball more. But in terms of delivering the fantasy points, I think after what Breida's done the last 2 weeks, he's the guy.
I agree with Stefania here. I mean, look, and no one was beating the drum for Alfred Morris preseason more than me. Once the injury to Jerick McKinnon happened, I'll cop to this. I said, I'll walk the plank, right? And so I said that Alfred Morris should be the guy you draft over Matt Breida. I had them ranked that way, and I think I was wrong. The numbers are what the numbers, and you watch the games here, and Matt Breida averages 2.14 yards per carry after first contact this year. Alfred Morris 1.35 yards per carry after first contact.
The other thing that's really important is Matt Breida has more yards before first contact, because and in the offense that they run, he's reading the holes better, right?
Sure, exactly. But my point is, if ever there was a stat that you think Alfred Morris would be better than Breida in, maybe not the explosiveness, but you think he'd be better after first contact, and he's not even doing that. So I think Kyle Shanahan sits there, and to your point about hot hand, I have questions about the durability about Matt Breida, and can he handle this kind of a workload throughout a 16-game season? But at the moment, in a game where we expect them to move the ball fairly easily against a Kansas City Chiefs defense that's really struggled so far this year, and we know the Chiefs are going to put up points against the 49ers, I prefer Breida to Morris in this game, and by not a slim margin here. I think I have Breida at 15, so I have him ranked ahead of David Johnson this week.
We're going to be right back with more wide receiver talk.
You're about to create the next ball hawk signing in Madden NFL 19. Because with more control on and off the gridiron, you'll define your team's outcome. Because when the lights come on, it's the decisions you made before the snap that determines what happens between the whistles. And what happens between the whistles is how franchises are built. And when you're on the biggest stage, it's about the moment and doing whatever it takes to hoist that trophy. In Madden 19, you make the plays that win you games.
Fantasy, you're in the 06010. Fantasy focus.
Now a quick word from our ZipRecruiter smartest fan of the week.
This is Terry Cassim, the ZipRecruiter smartest fan of the week, and Matthew Berry is my favorite member of the podcast because age before beauty.
I'll take that. I'll take that age. Listen, I'm not winning the.
That was the ultimate grasping for straws. Like, hey, I'll take it. Like, that's really what
he
you want.
sounded like he was about to start laughing as he delivered that age before beauty.
Let's get back to the wide receiver rankings, and you just brought up Larry Fitzgerald, Matthew. This week you have him at 25. Stefania and I both have him inside our top 20. Stefania, there's an injury component as well involved with this. How do we feel that? Is it a hamstring, quad?
It's a hamstring, and they're saying that he's going to try and practice this week, that he wants to play. And if you know anything about Larry Fitzgerald, you know that he hardly ever misses games. I think when he has before, it's been an MCL injury, and maybe one game for a hamstring. But I'd have to go back into the annals of time because he rarely misses. So if anybody wants to get on the field and try and help this team out of the funk that they're in, it's Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I had a hard time ranking him inside my top 20. This was sort of deference to the player that has so much ability,
gets the benefit of the doubt, right?
Same
because
thing with David Johnson
if they
here.
really do adjust the playbook, he's got a chance.
10 catches, 104 yards, and 0 touchdowns so far with Larry Fitzgerald through 2 games. It's tough to watch, and now the Bears come to town. I can get it if you don't want to use Larry Fitzgerald this weekend.
Me ranking be 25 on Larry Fitzgerald Field. And I honestly, that's another one where I think I might be too high. I don't have him as a starter in ESPN standard leagues, and I still think I might be too high. Cardinals have a league low 2 red zone drives this year. They've gotten 2, and they're going to face the toughest defense they've faced all year. I mean, you can argue with the Rams versus the Bears, but
sure.
I mean, it's right there. My worry is that offensive line is so bad. Bradford is not the most mobile guy. We saw what Russell Wilson, who's among the most mobile quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, when was the last time you saw Russell Wilson get sacked as much as he did on Monday night?
It's been a while.
And so then you think about Sam Bradford facing that same...
Not quite as mobile.
Not quite as mobile as Russell Wilson. So I just have fears because Larry Fitzgerald, to your point, Stefania, is so gutty, and he'll be out there. But boy, oh boy, I have him in one league where I'm going to have to use him because I don't have anyone else. It's a super deep league. But other than that, like... I would look for other options. Larry Fitzgerald, given the injury, given the matchup, given the struggles of that offense, makes me really nervous this week. I have him outside my top 20.
The Lions have a good problem at wide receiver. It's about one of the only good problems they have right now on their roster, but they've got 3 quality wideouts, Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones, and also Golden Tate. But let's specifically focus on Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones because through 2 games, Galladay's been the more productive player. Jones has exactly 54 receiving yards in each of these 2 games. He also has 9 straight games with at least 50 receiving yards. So he is steady and he is reliable. Matthew and I have Golladay ahead of Marvin Jones, as does Stefania, as a matter of fact. So I guess what our point is this. We're all on board. We're all aboard.
There she blows!
Oh
there she blows!
Oh no, it's happening.
None of us are walking the plank of the Marvin Jones.
Welcome aboard, matey.
Yeah, we all feel
what
like
what about you, Lassie?
Sending you both to Davy Jones' locker.
Is Lassie is Lassie at all related to pirates? I don't know.
Well,
I don't think so.
Yes.
No, Lassie's not a pirate
Lassie's
thing.
a dog.
No, Lassie, laddie.
Like
Lass.
Okay.
Like it's,
So,
yeah.
like
Lassie also a
lady.
dog?
It says here, it says here on the,
On the Pirates Dictionary.
according to pirateglossary.com, which as you know is the definitive source on the internet for pirate talk, lass is a way to address a younger female, Stefania. So there you go.
Yeah. So I'll
Absolutely.
take it. I'll take it.
There you go. All right. So anyway, my smart lassie over here to my left, my smart laddie over here to my right. We are all in agreement that Kenny Golladay has surpassed Marvin Jones. We've all ranked Babytron ahead of Marvin Jones this
here's
week.
the thing here is that you see these wide receivers flash for small sample sizes throughout the season, and sometimes if you go back and look at it closely, it's just being in the right place or the right time, or it's a couple of big plays that really work out in their favor. Kenny Golladay has been a player that we've known about for over a year now, 3rd-round pick who has been a talk of camp within Detroit's, within the organization there. He's a really talented player, and when you just watch him on the film, like he looks like perhaps their most talented wideout. So we're all aboard Kenny Golladay. I think the question is simply going to be, will eventually one Lions wide receiver level off and two remain startable, whereas one is no longer usable. For now, though, Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones, and Golden Tate, all 3 inside the top 30.
Field, he's a tasty strumpet. He leads the
I have
NFL.
no idea what that means.
Yeah, well, it's a promiscuous woman. I'm just making it up. It's a positive thing.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a positive about Kenny Golladay, who I love, who I adore. The fact of the matter is he leads the NFL. There's a fact of the matter there too. Yeah, thank you. He leads the NFL with 104 routes run this season. He has 4 deep receptions on 8 deep targets. Jones just 1 deep reception on 7 deep targets. Now, some of that's on Matthew Stafford. I mean, Jones has been open and Stafford has just missed him. When you watch those games, for whatever reason, there seems to be more of a connection right now between Stafford and Golladay. We like all these receivers in a game in which we expect Stafford to have to throw against New England. We think the Patriots are going to score pretty easily against Detroit. So all 3, because they haven't been able to establish a run game, Golden Tate, Kenny Golladay, and Marvin Jones are all viable starters this week. We all have Jones basically inside our top 30. So we're not saying, we're anti-Jones, but we are pro Kenny Golladay if you're trying to decide between the two of those, and we do think Golladay is a viable starter this week. I mean, I have him at 20, you guys both have him at 25. We're all sort of on board, and that if nothing else, he's a viable flex play.
Last one amongst the wide receivers is Quincy Enunwa, who has been the most popular target of Sam Darnold, of 2 straight games for them. 13 catches for 155 yards and a touchdown with 10-plus targets in both games. Any concern at all for you guys that eventually Jermaine Kearse could chop into the workload of Quincy Enunwa? Kearse returned. He was pretty solid for the Jets last year. He didn't play that much, though, in his first game back.
Yeah.
Did you say curse? Like a pirate curse?
Yeah, it's not bad, actually. You've been like 50-50 in terms of getting these. Actually,
fine.
Which is better than your usual average.
Right,
so
exactly. I'm swabbing the deck.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Quincy Enunwa is hot, and he is right now, I don't think there's any reason to be worried about it. He seems to be Sam Darnold being a rookie quarterback, you sort of look to see who do they start to trust? Who do they feel comfortable going to? And I feel like Enunwa's that guy, and there's not necessarily a reason for him to shy away from it. Early on, you take what's working for you.
Let's move along to our tight end rankings, where Eric Ebron has made a mark in 2 straight games with a touchdown in each one of them. Jack Doyle, though, still there. If you had to choose between a Colts tight end, Matthew, you believe that Jack Doyle is the preferred tight end here, where I actually have Eric Ebron ranked ahead of Jack Doyle. Now, Jack Doyle seems to have run a significant number of routes and all that. I guess I'm just banking on a touchdown here because even though Jack Doyle is staying so busy right now in terms of his route running, is the upside 8 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown? So far, it hasn't been that. Eric Ebron's been the one that, when they get to the red zone, seems to offer a bit more versatility in terms of the ways they can dial up plays for him.
Jack Doyle's run twice as many routes, 75 to 34 from Doyle to Ebron. They each have 2 red zone targets. He has 9 catches on 15 targets. Ebron 7 on 9 targets. So 15 targets to 9 targets. He's been more efficient. Ebron has caught more of his targets. But
there's something you never thought you'd say.
I know. I believe me. It's Talk Like a Pirate Day. So it's
a lot of weird things are happening.
A lot of weird things are happening. A vast your hornswoggles. Anyway, now I'm just making up random words. I don't know. For me, this is similar to what you're doing with David Johnson or Larry Fitzgerald. This is a little bit more banking on the talent. I understand that he scored twice in a row. Feels like Andrew Luck probably tries to get them a little bit more involved, maybe try to get Dak Doyle a little bit more involved. And again, he's on the field more. He's running more routes. I feel like it's more luck than anything. No pun intended.
It does make me nervous.
It's more good luck than anything that Ebron has scored twice and Doyle hasn't. So I'm just not ready yet to put Ebron over Doyle. I will say this. I ranked Eric Ebron at 16 this week. So I'm not the lowest on him among any of our rankers, and it's the highest I've ever had Eric Ebron, I think, certainly this season in quite some time. So I'm buying into it somewhat, but I do have Doyle over Ebron.
I get a little nervous when I hear the coach talking about how great the blocking has been by Jack Doyle. He's blocking better than he ever has. And I'm like, no, I don't want that.
Not offensive tackle
I don't
Jack
want
Doyle.
that.
Tight end Jack Doyle.
Exactly. So,
last one here.
A little nervous.
Austin Hooper, you seem to have confidence, Stefania. After a good week last week, you've got him at 12 in your rankings. My problem with Austin Hooper has always been that you are really banking on the touchdown here because his volume is very low. You
are. But I like the fact that he came right out and got, he's a big physical presence for them. They can't see, if Julio draws the attention, then give me Austin Hooper. And that's sort of where I feel like as they're trying to create these opportunities in the red zone, maybe that's what you're looking for, is the guy who people aren't paying a lot of attention to.
I can buy it. I mean, enough. Again, I think his volume, he's averaging just 2.4 catches per game for his career. He scored last week. I also feel like sometimes when a player has so low volume, he scores a touchdown the week before, that just means that he's due to not score the week after. The way we
will soon find out.
You know what I'd say, guys? Tight end's a wasteland, right?
It is.
There's so few tight ends that are sure things. We are projecting in the highest order here when you get past tight end 8.
That's part of it, is look at, I had Jack Doyle really bordering on my top 10 start of the season. Now is falling down because I'm just not seeing that he's getting the workload, but that could move back up. And we've got so many injuries at the tight end position too, that guys are vaulting upward who would have had no business there a couple of weeks ago.
I think he's a son of a biscuit eater, to be honest with you.
Don't know what that means, Matthew. Nobody does.
Oh, well, according to islands.com and their 40 useful pirate phrases for National Talk Like a Pirate Day post, son of a biscuit eater is an insult.
I have a friend whose brother's a pirate.
Really?
Yeah.
An actual real life pirate? Like
Yeah,
a
real life
2018?
Yeah.
He's a pirate?
Yeah.
Does
real
he
life
dress
pirate.
like a pirate?
Dresses like a pirate, yeah.
Does he wear a hat that's shaped like this?
I've never
you ever
met the
met
guy
the
in
pirate?
person. No, I've never met the pirate. I
How
just
does this
know
come up in conversation? Like,
because he was talking
Like-
about my friend got married recently. And he
Okay.
was talking about, like, the role his brother was playing, and he explained his brother was a pirate. And I was like, I did not even know you had a brother, much like he was a pirate.
but not like it doesn't. But like a lovable pirate, or like a bad guy pirate. That's I mean,
think pirates kind of by nature need to be bad guys.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I'm
would
not saying
think
this is
so.
a bad person, but like I don't think you meet this pirate who's warm and fuzzy, right? Like you've got sort of an edge to you if you're a pirate.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's probably why people are listening to this podcast, right?
Absolutely. Look, listen, a pirate looks at 40.
Maybe there are
That's
pirates for hire. And if there there are job sites that send you tons of the wrong resumes to sort through. And that's not smart. Just not. But you know what is smart? Going to ZipRecruiter.com/FFF/focus. What do we slash? Hold up. What do we slash on ZipRecruiter? Because mine says Buster. You can go to Buster.
What? That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I'll look it up while you do the rest of the read, Field.
Okay, to hire the right person. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful matching technology scans thousands of resumes, identifies people with the right skills, education, experience for your job, and actively invites them to apply. So you get qualified candidates fast. That's why ZipRecruiter is rated #1 by employers in the U.S. This rating comes from the hiring sites on Trustpilot with over 1,000 reviews. And right now, our listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/FFF. That's ZipRecruiter.com/FFF. ZipRecruiter.com/FFF. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now for this week's Smartest Fan of the Week, brought to you by ZipRecruiter, I turn it over to Daniel Dopp.
So we had a bunch of people that came in with submissions this week. I was actually really pleased that we had so many good submissions. I wish I could read them all.
Okay.
The question is, if you could tailgate with one member of the 06010, who would you pick
the obvious
and why? Well, there's been a lot of debate about this.
Oh.
Okay. So this first one comes from Thomas O'Mara.
Yep.
It would have to be Matthew because if we were barbecuing and we ran out of propane, we could just use all the hot air coming out of his mouth.
Nice! Already my leader in the clubhouse.
Well done. And true, by the way.
I thought that one was pretty good.
Pretty good.
This next one comes from Nate Stender. If you could tailgate with one member of the 06010, it would be Stefania.
Nice.
Because what better way to reserve an adjacent parking spot than with a cone?
Oh, we have a better one. Oh, that's so much better than the hot air one. That's so much good. That's so good. That's the leader right there. Oh my God, that's so great. That's so great.
Okay.
I liked it when it was just my name.
Stefania. Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
And I'm not so sure about the rest of that.
This next one comes from Lonnie Moses.
Okay.
While Field would probably make amazing food, or let's be real, have it catered, right? And he'd have incredibly stylish gear, I would find the entire experience anxiety-inducing. Choosing what to wear, trying to engage in witty banter with super beautiful Appletini-sipping New Englanders.
Right.
No, I just want to feel great about myself without having to hustle. And for me, that means hanging out with Matthew Berry.
Right.
I have a full head of hair, a decent sense of humor. I read at least one book a year, meaning I can just roll up in the morning in a pair of sweatpants and a t-shirt feeling pretty confident and ready to steal all of Matthew's friends once they realize how much cooler I am than he is. And who knows, I may even end up in the host chair by the end of the weekend.
Not
It's
bad.
possible.
Not bad.
That was pretty good right there,
Yeah.
Daniel.
Also true, by the way. All that
I'm
true.
not sure
100%
why people
true.
think I drink Appletinis. Like everybody
That
knows
is-
that I drink
that's-
beer. Beer and Appletinis are
Craft
as
beer.
far on the other side of the spectrum as you could possibly.
I
be.
will say this. It would not surprise me, though, if you showed up at a tailgate, if you were hosting a tailgate, if you had like the
Like
perfect
the
Appletini
table
cart.
with the
Yeah.
tablecloth.
I think people
in
could
it.
see you mixing an Appletini
Yeah.
behind like some sort of
Beers.
makeshift bar in the parking lot. I could just see you doing that. You and Chapin in matching outfits.
Here we go. I can
Salmon
see it.
colored maybe.
All right, this next one from Kaylee Bacher.
Okay.
Easy. I'm tailgating with Not Cool Keith because I want to
What?
get in on that free Bud Light when the victory fridges are unlocked in 2020.
There we go. That's nice. Shout out for Not Cool Keith and his
His-
to win,
Only problem there.
yet to win Cleveland Browns.
Only problem there is that they're going to win on Thursday night, not 2020.
You think they're going to win on Thursday night, huh?
Yep.
They got a new kicker.
Yeah.
I'll have a Bud Light ready.
We'll find out.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
will.
I think they got a shot. I definitely think they have a shot Thursday night.
This next one comes from Daniel Kreitz. TMR will definitely get you into some tailgating parties, like he said. The only problem is that those parties will probably be a low to mid-tier RB2 with some upside parties, depending on the matchup. It'll also probably be a Redskins party. So I feel like Yates will not tailgate unless it's an all-out party with nothing but the best food, drinks, grill, and tech, which at that point makes it a sure start RB1 that everyone else wants to have. We would be the party that TMRs want to get into. So Yates is the correct answer, hands down.
I like that guy. Who was that? That was Nate?
That was Daniel Kreitz.
Daniel Kreitz. I'm in on you. I'm in on you, Daniel Kreitz.
I thought you were going to say that was Daniel Dopp.
No,
and I would
it
have
was
been like,
not. No. We got
That
three
wouldn't
more
surprise
here.
me, though. Okay.
This
Let's
one's
go.
from Bryce Williams, Secret Squirrel. Because honestly, I don't want to be the only guy there with his nipples out. Now, I don't know Bryce Williams, but I like the way he parties. I just want to say that.
Yeah, I like Bryce, too.
Yeah.
I do too.
You know?
Yeah.
I do too.
All right.
The truth of the matter, though, is that, you know, the idea that Field keeps his shirt on for the entire tailgate is
Right.
very low odds.
Yes.
So there'll be many nipples out there.
That's
Many
probably
nipples
true.
out there at this party. Yep.
All right, this one comes from Ben Berger. If I could tail with one member of the 06010, there is no question that Field is the obvious answer at first glance. You would know
Is there a
that.
butt or no?
Yeah.
You would
I feel
know
there's something coming.
going in that excellent beer would be nicely chilled and quality eats would be cooking.
Correct.
Well, that is a strong offering. After thoughtful consideration, the clear winner is Stefania.
Oh.
Whoa.
I offer the
curveball.
following
Love it.
reasons. Number one, the amount of boondoggling she does, there's no way she doesn't know how to throw a sweet party.
That's
right.
fair.
That is
That's
true.
fair.
Number two,
Fact.
with her team of minions she has at her beck and call, Stefania could quickly make up for the hours of preparation Field would have to put in advance.
Also true. Star Fania has many, many people that help her.
Number three, an unlimited supply of cones demarcating your tailgating area.
This
Right.
seems to be a pattern here.
it does lend itself to it.
And I
yeah.
like that he used the word demarcating.
Yeah,
I think that's
demarcating. It's
pretty
very-
good.
I know. Well, you know, he's
Princetonian
appealing
word.
to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I got it.
And number
Good.
4, while Matthew, as he said, might have a decent chance of having his beautiful wife on his arm,
Yep.
if I have Stefania, I get Stefania and Matthew's wife. Then you get to enjoy tailgating with not
the
one,
winning line.
but 2 lovely women.
There you go.
That's
There
true.
you go.
but
Who-
that might be a little bit too close to truth. Actually, might be a little too close to
Who
home.
is that again?
That was from Ben Berger.
Ben.
All right.
Ben, we can tailgate together anytime.
And we've got one last one. This one is from Anthony Green. If I could tailgate with one member of the 06010, who would you pick and why? It's a tough one, but the answer is Matty B, because he seems fun. Not like, wow, this guy is smart and funny, but like a train wreck fun.
Right.
I could picture Matty Sunshine taking down 2 land sharks, unleashing his inner Frank the Tank, streaking through the parking lot, telling everyone to wait on a quarterback. Double dipping,
So good.
constantly requesting the DJ playing Margaritaville, offering to sign copies of his book, which no one there has.
Right.
Eating
Also
wings,
true.
putting the bones back on the plate with the fresh ones, and then ultimately passing out, knocking over the grill with all the food. Just picture a naked Matthew Berry passed out next to a Porta-John, muttering in his sleep, my little Cooper Cup, my little Cooper Cup. Actually, now that I think about it, I want to choose Stefania.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Not bad.
I think
That one's pretty good.
one was really good.
First off, there were a couple of details missing from that one. First off, I don't think I would get through 2 land sharks. I think we're talking like a land shark and a half. I wouldn't be asking the DJ to. I wouldn't be asking. Margaritaville is actually one of my least favorite Jimmy Buffett songs. Actually, I think it's overplayed. Like I'm a huge Jimmy Buffett fan, as you guys know.
It's not
but there's
overplayed.
actually,
It's not-
There's things overplayed.
yeah, it's a little overplayed. Anyway, I mean, of all the big hits that he has, of all
It's
this,
played out.
it's played out a little bit. I mean, I
Yeah.
still enjoy it when you're at the concert, but when I tune on my my Jimmy Buffett song, it's not one of the. When I put on a
know what?
Jimmy Buffett music, it's not what I play.
the
first.
reference, though,
Reference
made
is
it
great.
accessible to everybody.
100%.
Just like that song. So,
100%.
take it easy. And
My
he ultimately
favorite-
chose me.
My favorite, I don't know if we can all vote. My favorite was the one that said the block up the next parking spot because to find
With a cone?
with a cone. That
from-
one was my favorite. It was short. It was quick. It was very funny. Didn't see it coming.
Nate Stender.
Nate Spender. So Nate's my
Of course,
vote.
his name is Nate.
Yes. There you go. So
I'm good with that. Nate, my vote as well.
Starfania.
Look, I mean, as much as I am not a cone, I do appreciate that I was actually the person chosen to be the tailgate. So
There you
I
go.
will vote for that as well.
Wow. I mean, there were a lot of really good submissions
great
this week.
Oh my gosh,
It's super
it was so
good.
fun.
All
Thank
those were
you.
great.
Please keep sending them.
All right, so I guess we're going to say it then. Nate Stender, you are the Week 3 ZipRecruiter Smartest Fan of the Week. Congratulations.
We will reach out to you to figure out a way that you can help introduce us next week and be part of our podcast next week. There's a poll here.
Also, before we do that poll, just so you know, because there is a new question now live on ZipRecruiter.com/fan.
Let's hear it.
This week's question: if I was going to save one member of the 06010 from a burning building, who would I save and why?
Wow. We're getting deep here. This is a lot. This is pretty heavy.
I just want to point out to everyone out there, when you go to ZipRecruiter.com/fan and you decide whose life you want to save, I have 5 children. I just want to put that out there. Just let you know.
That's fair. Yeah.
I have 5 kids that I have to provide
But
for.
hashtag respect the troops, national hero. Like, let's not forget that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Oh,
So,
you? Yeah, 100%.
yeah.
Yes, that's true. Daniel Dopp, absolutely.
You know.
You have saved lives. You have served our country.
Yeah.
There is 100% that. But you don't have kids. You have a dog.
I have 3 dogs.
I mean, it's whatever. You have 2 dogs. I have 5 kids.
Yeah.
Listen, I think people need to be mindful of the fact that I have 2 separate full fridges of chilled and very high quality craft beer that need to be consumed. If I die and those go to waste, think about
Also
all the
good
But here's the thing.
Think about all the lovely hops, Treehouse and Bissell Brothers and Good Fire and Monkish and lovely, delicious.
Just goes to
Field
waste.
may have
Go to
craft
waste.
beer. I have a wine cellar, and I will actually share some of the wine with the person who saves me because I'm the unselfish member of the 06010. So we would celebrate, being alive out of a burning building with some really, really good Silver Oak or something like that.
Sorry to step on you.
No,
I didn't mean to do that.
by all
I was
means.
going to say, I would just say that I've been burned enough by rooting for the Browns all my life. If you could just save me,
Right.
that would be
You
great.
deserve, you
Yeah.
have earned
The
some
Browns
of that
are winning
wine. Yeah.
they're winning on Thursday night.
We'll start
if
with the
anybody
Bud
wants
Light.
to win, they're winning. They're winning on Thursday night. Quick update here while we have a couple of spare minutes on the Celebrity League. After 2 weeks of play, I got my first win of the season. I'm now 1-1 over the team of Lord and Miller. Rachel
The
Lindsay
directing
gets
team?
a nice win over John Legend. Jim Parsons goes to 1-1 with the victory over Joe Russo. Miles Teller might have the best team in the league right now. He gets a resounding
Great
win over Anthony
facing him
Mackie.
this week.
Zac Efron's not far behind, though. Zac Efron also 2-0. He beats Evan Longoria. Stefania took care of business against Matthew. Matthew's team we will not talk
about
about right now.
that?
Tough week.
I mean, the Doug Baldwin injury hurt me. Gronk off to a slow start here.
Well,
Jimmy
one game
Garoppolo off
slow
to
start.
a last week he obviously had a very tough week.
Right.
Jimmy Garoppolo's been tough, and so in a 14-team league, I'm 0-2 in this league. But
It's all right. A lot of football.
football
left.
still.
Okay,
who's
you can
not-
sign up for RotoPass
who's
if you
not
want, man.
0-2?
I may need to. I should sign up for RotoPass.
Me.
Yeah,
I'm 2-0.
yeah. There you go. Star
Stefania,
Fania.
Enjoy that.
congratulations to being 2-0 along with Zac Efron and also Miles Teller with Sim Sarna and Anna Ferris got a win over Darius Rucker. In the meantime, find Stefania on Instagram, Stefania B87 and Stefania_ESPN. Matthew is on Instagram at Matthew Berry TMR, as he is on every other Facebook, social medium except for Fantasy Life app where he's just at Matthew Berry. I'm at Field Yates on Instagram and also Twitter. Now, yesterday we told you guys to go in there and make some updates and like my photo. I am creeping within 100 likes of Matthew's Cafe Du Monde photo. You're at 2892 right now. I'm at 2806, so I'm
Come on.
coming for you, dude.
Get to at Matthew Berry TMR on Instagram. Please like my crappy beignet photo. We can't let good-looking Field here with his handsome, attractive beignets plunder
Follow at
my
Field
votes.
Yates. Follow me on Twitter. I feel like I bring more value on the Twitter than we do on the Instagram, although Instagram I don't feel that bad about either. Anyways, we are back on Thursday to preview tomorrow night's Browns win. The Browns are winning tomorrow night. I'm not sure what I'm wagering on this, but the problem is I can't make a wager because I know that Keith also wants to see the Browns win. But the Browns are winning on Thursday night. We'll be back then to discuss it all. Matthew Berry Show can be found on ESPN+. It's called The Fantasy Show. It's funny. It's goofy. It's also informative. Until then, we will talk to you mañana.
Peace out.
You're in the 06010. Never gonna hustle in case you didn't know. Matthew Berry TMR.
You guys go ahead. Give me grief for for being on SportsCenter for 45 seconds.
I think you could do better than me because I don't think you could.
Jailbait, Field Yates.
You're terrible at hashtag improv. At Field Yates. At Field Yates.
Stefania Bell.
Oh, don't let Barry convert you.
Secret Squirrel, Daniel Dodd.
Make it happen.
Mediocre fantasy advice.
You're older than people realize.
That never stops.
Loyal 0600 listener.
You've reached the voicemail of Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron, my man, it's your favorite sports agent, Gabe. Listen, I may have ever so slightly dinged your side mirror pulling out of your driveway. Give me a shout. Bad news, your side mirror's broken. Good news, the other dents are so bad you won't even notice the mirror. Ciao.
Hey Aaron, Patrick with State Farm here. Sounds like we have ourselves another Gabe situation. No worries though, State Farm's got you covered.
For agents who are there for you, go with the one that's here to help life go right.